Black Magic Woman podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this episode on. We also acknowledge traditional owners of the land where you, the listener or viewer, are tuning in from. We would like to pay our respects to our elders past and present and acknowledge that this always was Aboriginal land and always will be Aboriginal land.
Welcome to the Black Magic Woman podcast with Mundanara Bales.
Welcome back to another, of course, deadly episode of the one and only Black Magic Woman podcast. I am here on the beautiful land of the Wurundjeri peoples at the Indigenous Leadership Summit, and it's pretty deadly because I've been able to connect with a lot of different mob, and I've been able to just kind of immerse myself here amongst people like listening to Stan Grant. Like, that's been amazing, and I've got to yarn with people that are doing the masters with our Monash Businessship Partnerships. That's been pretty good. And now I'm running into old faces from back in the days. So you might know who this guest is. You might recognise her face, or you might have listened to her music or seen her perform back in the day. So Kayla, my sister, well, the one and only Kayla Truth, Kayla Tyson, my sister, thank you so much for just jumping on the podcast. No notice.
Yeah.
So how we go?
Well, you know, I feel like we've been building up to this for a while, so it's good that we finally run into each other and we're able to, sit down and get myself on the mic. So it's good to be here.
Well, thank you. So big shout out to all the Brizzy mob, because you're now living here.
I am.
On Wurundjeri country.
Yeah.
Before we get into what you're doing here and what brought you here, for people that don't know who you are, and if you don't know, then where have you been?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you share with people a little bit about who your mob is and where you grew up?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Kayla Tyson, maybe better known as Kayla Truth or KMT, or many of my nicknames along the times, you know. But yeah, I am a Ngugi person from the Quandamooka region on my pop side, and on my nan side we are the Meerooni mob from the Gurang nation. I'm now living and working on Wadangari-Woiwurrung country, and yeah, it's been a big change.
So look, for people that don't know much about you, you started off in radio. When I met you, you started off in radio. You're at AAA, so big shout out to all the mob there that are still toughing it out in community radio. It's not easy.
No.
But it's a great space and a great training ground to kind of build your confidence and skills and take that out to the big wide world, as my dad said. You don't know, radio and doing media training. He said it might not be what you want to do, but you don't know where it can take you.
100%. I came in as a trainee doing, I was the receptionist for a while, and then there was a bit of opportunity and nurture from Uncle Tig and the team there, and I moved into the training centre, which kind of led me into doing facilitation and working with youth, which is always an area that I'm interested in. So yeah, that kind of, I guess through doing the training myself, but then passing it on, that's just a cultural practice that we have. We always pass on what we learn to the next generation. So there was such a great opportunity for me to continue building my confidence. And it was actually through AAA that it was suggested to me that I should audition for the Aboriginal Centre for the Performing Arts. I was very lucky to be in that space when Leah Purcell came on board and was our artistic director, and that took my training and confidence to a whole other level. And I do believe that the performing arts and the radio background has really just given me skills that are transferable and have taken me into other worlds and, into the business that I'm in today.
So from ACPA, I've seen you doing a few little things. You've done a few shows, you literally was performing a lot. Tell us about what made you start performing. Did you always, you were rapping?
Yeah.
Not just dancing.
I obviously went there with the intention of being a dancer, because that's where I was at with my life at the time. But Leah Purcell, absolutely love her. She's still my mentor to this day. She is not going to take anything less than your best. So whether you liked one of the, forms of arts or not, you still had to train in it. And she drilled that into us to always give everything a go, because that was going to keep our career going, for the long term. So I ended up doing a bit of music and acting and all of that. So I went there as a dancer, graduated as an actor, but in between picked up music as well. And when I graduated, I ended up really throwing myself into the music. I was self-managed and ended up being able to work alongside some of my idols and people that I've grown up listening to, which has just been amazing. Like this little Murray girl from Logan City. Supported TLC, Naughty by Nature, worked with Ciara, Jay Holiday, just like things that, when you're 6 years old and you're listening to them, you're going to be like, I'm going to be like them one day. Yeah. And then 20 years later, you actually are doing it. Like it's such a wow moment.
And in terms of coming to this beautiful place, I love Melbourne. It's a beautiful city. But I don't think I could live here. What brought you here to actually leave the beautiful Sunshine State, Queensland behind? Well, I know you go home.
Yeah, I do go home
not that
often.
I'm making it like you're on the other side of the world.
It's a 2-hour trip, No, but it has been a huge change, and it was a bit of a leap, particularly after the pandemic and that. So I think during that time, it was a collection of things. I had a rethink about where is it that I want to go with my life. Like, how can I take all the things that I've learned and put it into something new? And my best friend and I, April Day, we decided that we were going to take a leap and buy a cocktail bar and restaurant. So I wouldn't say that we have zero experience, but I wouldn't say that we're overly experienced.
Restaurateurs.
Yes, we're definitely, that's the first time for us. Fine dining restaurant even.
Yep.
But I guess we took our interest in eating and having some nice cocktails with the girls, and all these places that we were going to, we always thought to ourselves, I reckon we could do a little bit of this better, or we could do this. And we just really brought it all together. We decided that we wanted to incorporate parts of our culture, so we spotlight native ingredients in our cocktail syrups and also throughout the kitchen as well. So I just think it was really important for us to just take all the elements that make us up, and we create such a good vibe with the music that we listen to. And I think it's been received so well from everyone, but it's definitely been a big step. And that's what brought me here. And I just think that if we're going to step into a world that has so many great people doing great things, we have to put ourselves up against the best. So why not start a bar and restaurant in Melbourne?
There you go. And what's next for you then? I heard that you're selling the bar.
Yeah.
Are you moving on to other ventures?
So we're not selling our brand.
Not the brand, keep the brand.
Yeah, we've got a few things in the works, and we're going to take our time with that. I would say that it's been a bit of a tricky time, and we've learnt a lot when it comes to just business and the economy and all of that in the last little bit that we've had the business. So I think that you have to make educated decisions on all of the other factors that are around just the economy in itself. Let's be honest, it's affecting everyone right now, So we're in a position where we can kind of make a sale and tap out while we're in a good space.
Oh, that's a good thing. Positive.
And then we're looking at pivoting our business structure, and there's some exciting things that we're going to take away from some of the products that, have been popular, and we'll see how far we can push those. And so stay tuned. Can't say too much just yet.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure just to get you on the podcast and have a little yarn, touch base, see what's going on.
Yeah.
But look, I was going to say, let's get back to our leadership conference.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next on the horizon. How can people reach out to you? Where do we find you?
Oh, I live in the world of social media. You can find me everywhere at Kayla Truth. So, or at Interlude Bar. On Instagram, it's at Interlude. On Chapel, you'll find us there. We're pumping out our socials constantly. You'll see all of the family that are dropping in, and you'll probably see your own face on there too. So check us out.
Cheers, Adelaide. Well, look, you, Melba, I hope you've enjoyed this little yarn. We'll get back to the conference and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you.
I'm at the amazing conference here on Wurundjeri country at Marvel Stadium, and the food has been amazing, just had to say that. But where all these different mob from all around the country are here attending the Indigenous Leadership Summit, and it's actually sponsored by Monash University. For people that don't know you Aunt, can you just do a little introduction, who you are and who your mob is?
Well, my name is Leah Purcell, and I'm a Goa-Gunggari-Wakka Wakka Murri woman, so that's up in the Mergen-Cherbourg area. My family come from Cherbourg. My grandmother was stolen generations from out Mitchell Way and brought to Cherbourg. Mum was born and bred there, and then grandfather got exempt, so we moved into Mergen, and I grew up in Mergen. So bush girl, and then, always had the passion to want to do some sort of performing. Didn't know how I was going to do that from the bush, but fate and the ancestors led me to where I am today.
Too deadly. And your keynote, Aunt, I heard you mention Kayla Tyson.
Yes.
As one of your, you took her under your wing, and like a lot of those young people, and we're talking about the Aboriginal Centre for Performing Arts, which most people in Brizzy know as ACPA.
Yep.
You were their artistic director.
Yeah.
The
I was
artistic
there.
director?
Yep. They called me a resident artistic director because I was flying in and flying out because I was still working, haven't retired, and that's what I said. I'm not retiring because I still have to do what I have to do. But I was there for about 4 years, and and I felt that in my path and where I was at my journey that it was time to give back, and it was amazing. It's some of the highlight. One of the highlights in my career, in my life, the nurturing, that part. I loved being the auntie, I loved being the nana, growling for them mob,
Yes.
but then also smothering them in love and protection and wisdom, from what I'd learned with my journey. And Kayla was sort of one of the first ones that I was sort of drawn to. You sort of pick up the spirit on people that's connected to you closer.
Yeah.
And so she sort of became the adopted daughter. And she was, and I'm sure she won't mind me talking about this, but she was sort of at a crossroads. She had a little bit of a hard head, And
I know real well.
Yeah,
firsthand.
Yeah, and she was having a bit of strife in her life, and she came to me, and I'm glad she felt safe that she could come and talk to me, and we had some conversations around what the predicament she was in, and I helped her sort of get out of that trouble.
Yes.
And I said, if you get back into it, I'll flog you myself.
Yes.
Kept her on the straight and narrow, but and then I also gave her a leadership role within the school. If there's boredom in someone, sometimes they want that stimulation and to have that responsibility.
Yeah. And you saw that within her, that she was capable.
Oh, absolutely, and gave her that permission to be that student that spoke up, because I wanted also the students to have like a student council, so they could bring any concerns. So giving the students the voice on their school and what they wanted, and I'm so proud of Kayla where she is now and what she took away from that school, showing her talents, because she was the little rapper.
She was the rapper, the dancer.
Yeah. And to see where she went with that career. And music is so hard in this industry, but also with her connection, like her grandmother and the Tyson family, they're at the forefront of a lot of our movement, the cause through Brisbane.
And I was listening to your keynote, and you're sharing with the audience here, mainly all black fellas too, about the referendum. So this must have been a play or a piece of art or performance that you wanted these young students to do. Can you share with us?
Yeah, well, it was the 50 years, I think, for the celebration of the 50-year anniversary with the referendum, and I remember saying this would be a good subject for them, because then you're diving in to go back generations to their mothers, their grandmothers, could be their great grandparents, that might have been involved in 1967, and I walked into that room and I said, we're going to look, we're going to just, do some research on the referendum, and I sort of was met with these blank stares, and I said, I'm going to walk out of the room, and you fellas all got phones, so you better Google what that is, and I'm going to come back, I was going to flog you, so, I could talk good. Like that, So I went out and I came back and I said, I'm going to ask that question again, and, then the pride, but it was beautiful to watch that process, because they were all too busy worrying about what's on the phone, and I said, you've got to all get home and you've got to talk to someone, you've all got to come back with a story that you're allowed to share to build our production. So someone brought songs, someone brought poems, someone brought a story from their nana. And what was beautiful is when we did a little, as we were going through rehearsals, and the what's the word, the reinvention of themselves,
Yes.
the power
Yeah.
that they got. You know, they knew nothing and they knew everything. And you know, there was one day we were supposed to have this rehearsal, but we all just sat around and was crying and holding one another, and we went, and I knew I had to protect them and look after them and nurture them from that sorry business to empowerment. And I remember all the young men, you know, I had them laying on the floor and we went through a bit of ceremony, and then I just said to them, I said, you could have rise like them strong gum trees. Mate, these young men just jumped up, and the pride, and then mate, you couldn't stop them. They were on this trajectory. I said, because you got to know where you come from, so you know where you're going. You know, and following the dream, and that's laid out there waiting for you.
Yeah.
And it was just a beautiful thing, and that was the first year that I was there.
That was at QPAC, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at QPAC.
Sold out show, standing ovations.
Yeah.
And I missed it, but everyone was raving about it, and I just... was it the first time that ACPA students...
Yeah, on a main stage. They were doing it in little halls.
Of course.
And I said, no, this is about being performance. So if you're going to perform, you perform on a stage. So QPAC, John Kotzer there was deadly and gave us that theatre space. And mate, we were holding week performances.
I know.
It's not just one or two shows. We were doing a whole week's performance, sell-out performances for over 4 to the 5 years that I was there, and I was so proud of them. And that's the sort of thing we need, where it was mob, nurturing mob, so we could talk straight, talk with love, talk growlways, new family. I said, I know all your grandparents, I know all your family.
Yeah.
You can't put anything over me. I was a rat bag, you know.
Yeah. I can see through you.
Yeah, but then to see the power in their performances and how they come to understand themselves was just magic.
And that's part of that kind of growth, and as a performer and maturity, but even culturally strengthening their identity, which is so important. And I was just going to say, Art, in terms of how busy you are and what you've been able to do and able to achieve, you're still making time for young people like Kayla.
Oh, it's important. It's our young people are our future, you know, and I know that's very cliche and we say it all the time, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And I just know that I had a few people that were in my life, but there was a lot of it where you're sort of out on the outsides, and I had to kind of find my own way. And I think it's so important to give back because we've all got generational trauma. Life is hard, and it just goes that you can come from nothing and be something and be everything, but it's up to you having that drive. So if I can encourage someone to have the drive, to have the passion to fulfill a dream, now whether that dream is to be an actor on a stage, whether that dream is to be a mother of 10, whether that dream is to pick up rubbish in your local community, as long as you're deadly at it and you're doing it with passion and you've got reason, then you go for it. You know?
Stop. I just know that all of you mob that are listening, and even people that are not mob that are listening to this yarn, are probably drawing, kind of inspiration or thinking about what can they do, what can they achieve, and maybe they've been held back. And it's this yarn where you just need to hear someone else tell you, passion, if you've got passion, if this is what you want to do, then go for it, chase it.
Exactly, and you can find varying degrees of, if you can't get on the stage at a main stage, you might be able to do something in your community. There's a community hall. All of those people in that community have stories. There's levels and but the satisfaction you get from doing something or seeing someone else grow is more rewarding than any awards,
of course,
or any money, because that comes from your heart, your soul, and just a beautiful thing. So I'm big on where I can give back to students. And
You've got a production company now.
Yeah, and I'm always mentoring, and I said, hey, I've got about 2,000 kids all over this country. They're probably all hairy now, some of them, but like they're adults. But
growing up,
grown up, and they got their children. But if I could be an influence in their life that made them turn left instead of right, and they've got somewhere, then that's great. Because it's and I've talked young people out of trees. And I'm, what I'm talking about. And stayed up all night with them and walked them home on a phone and go, get home. I'm put here for a reason, I'm here to live, I'm here to help, I'm here to be part of my journey, others' journey, and you got to do what you got to do,
Well, Arnie, that's a beautiful way to wrap up this deadly yarn, is thank you for being part of my journey, to just give up some time here, as I know you're running to the airport, and I'm running too, I might see you there. But thank you so much for coming back on the Black Magic Woman podcast, and I can't wait for more people to hear about Aunt Leah Purcell, the drover's wife. I used to rave about it. Every Black Card workshop, I was telling people, haven't you seen it? Why haven't you seen it? It's on the plane now. Oh, you can read the book. And now you can see High Country.
Yeah,
you can
on
watch
binge.
High Country, and there's much more coming. So stay tuned because there's big things happening with this deadly woman. So Aunt Leah, thank you so much for jumping on the
Thank
podcast.
you, Bob. I'm proud of what you're doing. Keep the voice going.
If you'd like any more info on today's guest, please visit our show notes in the episode description. A big shout out to all you Deadly Mob and allies who continue to listen, watch and support our podcast. Your feedback means the world. You can rate and review the podcast on Apple and Spotify, or even head to our socials and YouTube channel and drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. The Black Magic Woman podcast is produced by Clint Curtis.